The Rabbi Dr.I.Goldstein Synagogue is a synagogue on the Edmond J.Safra Givat Ram campus of the Hebrew University in Israel, named in honor of Rabbi Israel Goldstein, an American-born Israeli rabbi, author, and Zionist leader. Designed by two Israeli architects, the German-born Heinrich Heinz Rau and the Brazilian-born David Resnick, it has been listed as one of the 10 most beautiful synagogues in Israel, and called without a doubt a landmark in local architecture. In 1964, the synagogue design was awarded the Rector Prize by the Israeli Architects Association. Site. The original site of Israel's Hebrew University was Mount Scopus, an area that was captured by Jordan during the 1948 Israeli War of Independence. Subsequently, Givat Ram was identified as the site of the new campus, with the area largely undeveloped by 1957, when the synagogue was built. The site has been described as a largely bare, rocky plateau, and each building sat on it almost as if in a desert. The synagogue is located on Elisha Street. Funding. Much of the funding from the synagogue came from friends of Rabbi Goldstein, in honor of his 60th anniversary. At the April 1958 ceremony formally dedicating the new Givat Ram campus and opening 21 new campus buildings, Dr. George S. Wise, chairman of the university's International Board of Governors, noted that the synagogue was one of 10 buildings constructed with the help of donations from both organizations and individual donors in the U.S. Design. The synagogue is 12.25 feet high, with an exterior in the shape of a concrete hemisphere on 8 arches. The floor of the synagogue is a raised platform, and the interior has no windows, yet in a sense is adorned by light, which ripples up from below on all sides. Within the domed worship space there is room for 100 worshippers. Separate sections for male and female worshippers are located on the same level, separated by a wooden screen. The exterior design has been described as one that takes the form of a gentle concrete puffball hovering just above the surface of the rock, rather as if it had been tossed there by the wind, with the suggestion that the spiritual world passing silently around the temporal one without ever quite meeting it. A description linked to a 2005 retrospective of architect David Resnick noted that it gives the impression of hovering in the air and being rooted in the ground at the same time, a totally modernistic building that exploits new technologies, but evokes local historical associations. While very different from the buildings around it, it blends in amazingly well. One article on 25 beautiful synagogues worldwide describes the synagogue as mushroom-shaped, and yet at the same time otherworldly. Quote, "It is meant to look organic, natural, and imperfect, as though it just settled there one day." Resnick has stated that Jerusalem is a melancholy place, and it has been noted that the fragility of the puffball synagogue somehow expresses that vision. Postage Stamp. In 1975, the synagogue was featured in a series of Israeli postage stamps dedicated to architecture in Israel. Consecration. The synagogue was consecrated on August 7, 1957. Among the guests at the ceremony was Yitzhak Ben Zvi, the President of Israel. Remarks by Ben Zvi and other Israeli officials praised Goldstein as a man of spirit and action, who had dedicated his life to the Jewish people. As part of the ceremony, Joseph Klausner, Professor Emeritus at Hebrew University, opened the Torah Ark. Worship. Campus religious programs are coordinated by Hillel, which has offices on the Mount Scopus campus. Many services are held in the Heck Synagogue on that campus, but because the location of the Goldstein Synagogue is remote from the Givat Ram campus center for work and study, no worship services are held on a regular basis. When services are held, morning services normally begin at 6:45 a.m. and evening services begin at the end of the school day, with the decision regarding news left to the voluntary prayer leader. Special ceremonies and events. In 1961, a special ceremony was held at the synagogue to accept a Torah scroll contributed by a group of tourists from the United States. An Israeli representative from the Ministry of Religious Affairs participated in the ceremony, noting that this was one of 1,500 Torah scrolls that have so far been collected from other nations, but some 400 communities still needed Torah scrolls.